So I believe we're going to make a start. There will be a chance to ask questions later on, but for the time being, I think we're going to mute everyone just in case there's any background noise, and do the presentation. And there'll be a section at the end, hopefully, where we can all ask questions. But keep your videos on because you're all looking amazing. So my name is Hassan. I'm going to be presenting today along with the help of our CEO, Safa. And in the background, working to make sure everything works, are George, our head of product management, and Tilly, our sales manager. And the agenda, quick agenda. So we've got a few housekeeping rules. We're going to give you a quick update on AutoCab and what's going on. And then Safa's going to share with you an overview of the delivery market and share why we believe it's an interesting space for the taxi industry to get involved in. And he's going to go through 3 different strategies on how you can launch yourselves in this delivery market. Some of the people on this call have already launched themselves into this delivery market, which is amazing. For those of you that haven't yet, we'll go through the 3 different routes to market that we believe exist. I will then present to you our new product, which we've completed the development of over the course of the last 6 weeks, called Delivery.Point, and go through its benefits, and we'll finish off with a Q&A. Okay. So this webinar is going to be recorded. I believe we're going to find a way to get this out to you guys after. So if you don't have to take notes if you don't need to. And also during the webinar, it'll be interactive, so there'll be some polls. So whenever there's a poll, I'll tell you, make sure you've got your fingers on the pulse, and you can vote on certain questions that we've got lined up, just to listen to your feedback really about the products and get your feedback, and kind of that will help us a lot, honestly, to perfect the product as we roll it out. Okay. So a quick update from AutoCab. From AutoCab's perspective, we've seen an amazing response to this crisis from our customers all over the UK, all over the world. I noticed that we've got a few customers joining us internationally on this call as well, and it's great to have you all on this call. Thank you for your time. And yeah, every day we've been hearing about how taxi companies are in the news, delivering care packages, discounts for NHS, doing some amazing things for their local communities. We've been inspired by that, and rather than just trying to survive the challenges that are around us, we've been working with some of the people on this call actually. We've identified an opportunity in the delivery space and focused our development team over the last 6 weeks, working day and night. This product that we're going to be showing you would typically take 3, 4, 5 months to develop. We've managed to bang it out within 6 weeks and basically launch it, and that's what we're doing today, to help our customers seize the opportunity in the delivery space. We've been in business, AutoCab, now for 29 years. We believe that the taxi industry has definitely got another 29 years, despite what's going on in this crisis. We believe in the future of the taxi industry, and we believe you guys are here to stay, and therefore we've invested in a solution like this to help you during the new normal that we're soon going to be entering. So, other than that, I'll pass over to Safa. Safa, why should a taxi company get involved in doing deliveries?
Thank you, Hassan, and really welcome everyone. It's really so nice to see some of the faces. We miss you guys, but at least we get to see each other on video, and thanks for joining us today. But yeah, I think, look, I mean, I think the delivery space is really, really interesting. It's huge. It's really big. I'll share with you some of the numbers today. So, and these are all based on, analyst studies, very, very accurate numbers. In terms of the courier and express delivery space, that space has grown by 65% over the past 5 years. So we've seen a huge growth. I think all of us know that and feel that, because actually the study also shows that 90% of consumers have recently actually done a delivery of some kind. And again, we all know that, because every time, frankly, I open the door of my my house these days, there's some package that's sitting there. I didn't order, I can tell you that much. So somebody in my family is ordering stuff every day. So it's not only happening all across and everybody, but it's also a very fast growing market. if you look at the delivery, of course, it's more than food delivery. There's all kinds of deliveries, as we all know. But just the food delivery part was 8.5 billion pounds in 2019. Now, if you compare that to the taxi industry is about 6 to 7 billion in the UK in terms of total market value. So this is a market, the delivery market, that's quite equal as of last year, and maybe slightly bigger, in terms of size. And if you look at Just Eat, for example, over 100 million orders were delivered, last year. And some of the other numbers that are interesting, the annual volume of UK deliveries, these are individual UK deliveries per year, is 3.2 billion, actually, in terms of deliveries, and making a market that's about 32 billion pounds, in value. So this is a large market that's been growing heavily over the past 5 years. But I think we can all agree that through COVID-19, we're seeing an acceleration of this market during this period. But then also, I think we're going to see a steeper curve of growth going even after the COVID-19. So I think there is a huge opportunity for someone. Obviously, there are players already playing in this space, and there's going to be a huge opportunity in the future in terms of delivery. Now, one would say, look, so that's a great opportunity, but what does that have to do with us? And I would say there are really 3 reasons why the taxi industry is well positioned to play in this space and take a chunk of this market. One is that, if you look at deliveries, there's really of 2 kinds out there. There's kind of the scheduled delivery. So this is what you'd see from, for example, Amazon, and kind of the gold standard is a 2-hour kind of delivery, scheduled delivery. You order something and then you're told, from this hour to this hour, you will receive your package. And that kind of delivery is available in some places. Obviously, Amazon is trying to make that widely available, but in reality, it's 3 hours really in reality, most of the time. And that's probably the gold standard, for right now. And I know you hear about 1-hour delivery, but these are things that people are striving for. While we in the taxi industry can do on-demand delivery, as in you can order something and literally within half hour on demand, it can show up on, at your door. And that is, I think, is different than what other people can do in this space, which means we have an opportunity to come in and fill a need perhaps that's unfulfilled. So this is one. On the other side, when you look at the eats part, the people who deliver food, that is on-demand delivery, but it tends to be very small in geographic coverage, a mile and a half from the restaurant. And that's because they're using bikes and motorcycles and vehicles like that. And so I think basically the taxi industry can definitely extend the range of that. And so we can do things where we can go 2 or 3 miles or 4 miles, and still be able to make that delivery. And that's a space that I think is unfulfilled. The third reason, which I think a major reason, is that we don't need to invest as much as other people to basically get into delivery, because we have a fleet. All of you guys have fleets out there. Now, this is a great time with COVID-19. Some drivers are looking for additional work, maybe work that doesn't have to do with people coming in their vehicle. And so, sometimes maybe they wouldn't be so inclined to start doing deliveries, but this might be an opportunity to do that. But then, let's look at the vision 1, 2, 3 years from now. Why couldn't, taxi companies have a mixed fleet of drivers? Some do delivery, some do taxi and private hire, and maybe they start off doing deliveries and then they end up going into private hire, and you have a mix and match based on the kind of job. You maybe have 5 or 10 scooters that you also keep on hand, and have few drivers do those for short jobs. Why not a mix kind of a fleet that can mix the two and really do both of them very well? So look, these are the ideas. You guys are, we're obviously on the technology side and we're kind of distanced from this. This is what makes sense to us. And really what I really hope through this discussion, that we can start a dialogue, begin to start a dialogue, because really we want to know from you if this space we should be in, how much we should be investing for you, in this space. And honestly, this webinar is a beginning where we hope to learn that from you, over the next few weeks. Maybe you can all go think about that, give it some thought, and really, really, we will be waiting for your feedback. I really want to learn personally what you think. Is the delivery space a good space for us as an industry or not? And you can tell us that, and if you tell us that, we will invest heavily in terms of providing solutions and technologies in this space. So hopefully this is the beginning of a dialogue. So in terms of AutoCab and how we think the easiest thing, the things that we can do to help you to get into delivery as quickly as possible, we envision basically three different ways. And we've kind of listed them here. So the first one is what we call iGo delivery. So this is, you guys are familiar with iGo. There's about 550 taxi companies throughout the UK that are receiving, working with iGo and receive some jobs from iGo. And there's millions of bookings that are going through iGo today. These are the kinds of, contracts that are not local in nature. They're kind of national in nature, and there'll be aggregators who get those contracts, and they just through APIs connect into iGo and provide that work to the taxi companies that want to receive it. But the vast majority of that work today is really about moving people. And so what we have launched is what we call iGo Delivery, which is where we're working with taxi companies that want to do delivery and create kind of a new marketplace for that space. And there are some very interesting discussions right now happening, between AutoCab and some aggregators and some third parties more at the national level. I'll tell you, over the next few weeks, I think you may hear some good announcements, for a good amount of work that will come through deliveries for the companies that wanted. So this is kind of the one approach, and that's you basically preparing yourself to receive work, delivery work through iGo, and then just performing it. That's all that's required there. The second point is really what we call Delivery.Point, which is the product that we will be demoing today. This basically says that for whatever way, there is somebody out there that's actually has an order of some kind. They might have gotten it through their website. They might have gotten it through a third party, like a shop of some kind, a merchant of some kind. And they just need a delivery. And so really this product, you can think of it as a taxi butler for delivery. You have taxi butlers, they're very popular. Push a button and basically, a taxi show up to move people from that venue. Rather than moving people, if you want to deliver items, then Delivery.Point is the product for that. So again, this is a space where the merchant themselves, they figured out how to get the order. They're the ones who sold to the end customer, and they're just asking you to basically do a delivery for them. So that's the second leg of this approach. The third one is what we call a Delivery.App, and this is a solution that we are working on. But this is a space where you become yourself. You would have some kind of a white label app. You become the merchant yourself at that point in this situation where you would have all kinds of things on an app. You promote this app and people download it, and then people buy through you, and then you are really fulfilling that work and delivering the items through it. So those are kind of the three different areas and we are doing significant amount of work in all three areas, and we think really there's no one size fits all. It just depends on the taxi company and their strategy and what they want to do and the amount of resources and investment they want to put in. They may end up doing 1, 2, or 3 of these things. So if we go to next slide. So having said that, in terms of these three approaches, there is a commitment that needs to happen, obviously, from taxi and private hire companies to enter the delivery space. Just like over the years, you've perfected how to deliver a service for people, and you invest in a call center and marketing and technology and all of those things, and you also train drivers to do different kinds of contracts and all of that stuff you've been doing to move people from point A to point B. there is a level of commitment and investment that you would have to make as a fleet in order to do deliveries well. And we've tried to kind of identify them here, kind of what kind of things that you would need to do to enter these three different ways of doing delivery. So in terms of delivery for iGo, that's really straightforward. That's the simplest way to do delivery, because you're just connected to iGo, you turn it on, and then really what you have to do is basically train and equip drivers. So it depends on the kind of delivery you're doing, if it's items or food or anything like that. Just need to make sure the driver has the right stuff. Maybe it's a food warmer if you're doing food delivery. If it's other items, then I don't know, it's a box or whatever it is that need simple equipment. But then also you need to train the drivers. When you get this kind of a delivery, here's how you do it. Here's the etiquette of doing it. Here's how you do it well. So I think that's really the only thing that's required for iGo delivery. The second point, like I said, it's basically taxi butler for delivery is really what it is. And so, yes, you do need to train your drivers and equip your drivers based on the merchant that you sign up. But then you do have to make the effort to go to the merchants and sign them up and convince them to use you for delivery. And if they're convinced, then you either get them to download the Android app or to provide them a phone with it. And they can, just like Taxi Butler, they can click and basically do the delivery. And frankly, one of the easiest ways is if you have taxi butlers out there already with restaurants and so on, you have the business relationship there in place. I simply can go to them and say, look, I used to move your people, now I can move your deliveries. Here's an Android phone. Please use it to order deliveries for me. So that's the second one. The third one is frankly a much larger commitment. This is the kind where you have an app and basically you launch it yourself and you're the merchant yourself. I would say in terms of the investment that you'd have to make is in 4 different areas. One is what I call retail management, and so therefore you have to identify and convince the restaurants or the shops or whatever to use you, and you have to onboard them and train their staff to use your technology. There's menu management. You have to kind of make sure that they're putting in their menus properly and correctly. You need some kind of a photography kind of service, because you don't want the stuff to look bad on your app. It's your app that you're pushing out there, so the photography needs to be right. Pricing needs to be right, because people will be ordering and it's £10 for something. It can't be, if the price changes, then there's a problem that happens in the back end. And then when there's inventory involved, you have to make sure when somebody orders, the merchant actually has that inventory. And so all that happens through technology, but somebody needs to make sure that's kept up to date, and so then you're selling accurately out there. The second area of investment is in marketing. So obviously you're talking about a new app. All of you have seen what it takes to kind of launch an app, even though you have customers using you today. This would be something new, lots of promotion of apps, social media presence, huge amount of social media, maybe coupons and promotions. To be clear, other people who have launched this kind of service, even some of the big boys, Uber Eats and other people like that, typically they go for 1.5 to 2 years where they actually lose money on that service. And then ultimately, of course, they end up with something valuable, on the long term. And then there is order management. People will be placing orders and things can go wrong, so the wrong thing got delivered, or I ordered 2 things, I got 3 things, and somebody really has to watch that and take care of the exceptions, if you will, on your side. And then there's still, of course, the driver management in terms of training and equipping drivers. So like I said, this isn't one size fits all. Different companies would want to engage, at 1, 2, or 3, and any combination of these 3. And that just depends on your desire and your business objectives and so on. So in terms of the Delivery.Point product specifically now, this is the Taxi Butler for delivery. So this product, like Hassan said, over the past 5-6 weeks, our team really focused on and have been developing, and was able to complete the development actually as of this week. These are the 5 companies that are engaged with doing trials. So I know Star Cars is working with a butcher and a pharmacy. Borough Cars is working with, I think, a couple of restaurants, and it might have been like a BP shop or something like that. GG Cars is putting it with the restaurants, and a couple of others as well that are putting it into actual testing scenarios. And we're, of course, all, our team is working directly to really, make sure the product is perfected, and we look forward to even perfecting it over the next week or two. Okay, so that's kind of an overview of the delivery market. To kind of recap, we think it's a huge market out there, and it's going to grow quickly, really, over the next few years. And we think it makes sense, really, for the taxi industry to jump in and really build their businesses around delivery of not just people but things. Having said that, I'm really looking for your feedback. I really want you, honestly, if you can, to think about that, what I'm saying, and then see if we can get some dialogue happening between us. I want to understand if you think this is an area that we should be going after as a taxi industry, and to what level you think we should be investing to provide technology for you to do it, and hope to have those interesting dialogues over the next few weeks. Having said that, we'd like to move to a product demonstration. And so I'd like to turn it over to Hassan to demonstrate the Delivery.Point product.
Thanks, Afa. So Delivery.Point, the taxi butler for deliveries. That's probably the best way to describe it. So I'm going to go through an example of like a fried chicken shop. So they're basically available on Just Eat. For those of you that don't know, the majority of the takeaways on Just Eat, Just Eat doesn't take care of deliveries as of yet. We're here, they're starting to, but for right now, the majority of these stores are having to hire a full-time driver or part-time driver to sit outside their shop. And anytime they get an order through Just Eat, they get him to go and deliver it. So that's kind of what they're doing today. So obviously, one of the biggest benefits of Delivery.Point is it removes the hassle and headache of that takeaway having to establish a delivery network by using a taxi company to deliver their stuff. The way I like to describe it is it's like a pay-as-you-go solution for that takeaway, rather than having to employ someone full-time. This is it's much more efficient for them just to pay per order and pass that to a taxi company. So let's go through the example of how they would use Delivery.Point on their side. I'm going to ask Tilly to assist me, Tilly and George, if Tilly can share her screen, and we can have a look at the Android app. This is an Android app. You can give it to them on their phones. You can provide them with a tablet. It's whatever way is easier for them to use it. So as you can see here, this is the fried chicken store, Chicken Cottage, for example. Your local delivery network of drivers provided by ABC Cars, for example. So they've just received an order on Just Eat. The customer's paid on Just Eat, could be through their own website, for example, and now they want to get it delivered. So they just tap on Request Delivery at the bottom, and they type in the mobile phone number. It says buyer details, enter a mobile phone number so that we can send a text to the buyer with a tracking link so they can track the status of their order. And as you can see, whilst the manager of Chicken Cottage is typing in the number of the customer, it's got like a CLI built in within it. So it accounts for CLI for regular customers, and that saves them a lot of time having to enter the name. As you can see, the name's automatically populated. And if you go to the next screen, Tilly, the delivery address is also automatically pre-populated. So very convenient for them to use. It's all about making it as simple as possible, the feedback that we've received so far. Order number, they would have their own kind of order numbers. This number would be attached on the driver companion so that when the driver walks into Chicken Cottage, he says, I'm here for order number 83. Okay, and next. So value of the shopping. So at this stage, the Chicken Cottage can enter the value of the shopping. So in this case, I'm just going to ignore this toggle which says total value already paid. Oh, sorry, I'm going to turn that on, sorry. So obviously they've received their order through the Just Eat website. The thing's already paid for. So we're just going to toggle that on. and you type in the value just for a reference, £40, and it says delivery charge for this address is going to be £3.20. So this would be like an account customer for you guys. You would invoice them every week or every month, you know, all of the delivery charges added up together. And place order. And the delivery is added to your to-do list. So they've put the delivery in the system, and Chicken Cottage now get the fryer open, get the deep fryer, I don't even know what equipment they use, you know, get the chips ready, get the cans of Coke lined up, massive order, £40, and here we go, it needs to be to do. When that order's cooked, it looks like it's going to be ready in about 5-6 minutes. You come into this section here, you can see the order that we just placed for £40. And you can have an option, order delivery now or order for the future. I'm going to say it's going to be ready in 5 or 6 minutes. Let's order delivery now. So as you can see, it will then move from the to-do section to the scheduled. So to-do section means that I'm still cooking it. It's not ready yet. Once you've placed the order, it will go to the scheduled section. At that stage, automatically, it will go as a job to your Ghost system. And schedule basically means it's kind of on the active screen. And when the dispatcher gets the job and dispatches it to the driver, it will automatically move till he's just done that in the background. It will from the scheduled section to the delivering section, and in the background on Ghost and manually dispatched it to a car. Obviously, you could set this on auto dispatch for whatever reason. So as you can see here, it's delivering. So that means what that means is that the driver's on his way to pick it up. The details is Silver Skoda Octavia. This is a number plate, and he's going to be asking for order number 83 when he turns up. So if someone turns up in a black Toyota and he says 83, say, no, you're a liar, mate. It's a Silver Skoda Octavia. Okay, and obviously when the driver completes the journey, swipes through the job, obviously it will then move out of this section and go into the previous orders section. Before I go into that section, I wanted to show you quite a cool feature we've got as well in the middle. It says check delivery price. So let's say you just want to know how much it would be to you know, deliver to a particular area that's maybe far away. The takeaway can put in a particular address and it'll provide them with a quote. And once again, this quote is linked to your pricing. So you would set up a separate account in your Ghost system and you would set your pricing rules, and it would automatically pull that from the system so they can get quotations as well. If they just want to check, for example, so they can do that live when they're on the phone to a customer even, for example. Past orders. So past orders will show you obviously previous orders. As you can see, Tilly's completed this order. So 83 has come here, it's been completed. She's swiped through the driver companion on the in the background. And you can also see cancelled orders as well, just as like a little job archive. Perfect. So I think we're going to jump back to the PowerPoint now, I think. So next slide. Okay, we're going to do a poll now. Poll time. So everyone, fingers on buzzers. Takeaway and restaurant partnerships. There should be a question popping up on your screen now. Even if you're using a mobile phone, it should pop up on the screen. Should be asking you a question any second now. Hopefully this will work. Forgive us if there's some technical.
I'm sorry, we're having some technical difficulties with the polls, so
oh, no poll.
Just miss that one for now.
No problem. Sorry, guys. Better luck next time. So we'll do another poll maybe later on. So the second scenario. So that's the first scenario. Takeaway, taking the payment online through Just Eat or through their own website or over the phone, whatever way they take payment and take thing. And that's great and that's brilliant. That might be a great way to get into deliveries. Second scenario, there's a lot of shops out there, local convenience stores, florists, butchers, groceries. People need things like milk, eggs, bread from these kind of places. They're not set up like Tesco and Marks and Spencer to do all of these delivery stuff. These are kind of local independents in your local area. And there's an immediate need for these for people that are isolating, people that are at risk or vulnerable. Me personally, I'm not at risk, hopefully, but you know, I would much rather deliver my groceries, have them delivered, rather than having to go to the supermarket and wear a mask and wear gloves, and it's like a problem, you know. So I'd much rather have stuff delivered. So these guys will want to deliver, but they have no way of taking the payment. So in this scenario, we've developed a feature within Delivery.Point which will allow you to handle the payment on their behalf. And we're going to show you how this works. We go to the next slide. Okay, so Co-op Cheadle, for example, you've made a partnership with the Co-op in Cheadle, local store, and it says, and they basically, you've made this a partnership with them and they've put on their social media now, our Cheadle home delivery service is now live. We've partnered with ABC Cars to deliver things straight to your door within 1 hour. Amazing. Call us today to basically go through that. So we're going to show you an example of what would happen in the case where you're taking the payment on behalf of, say, a local convenience store. So go on to the Delivery.Point app, and I say request delivery. Obviously, enter the mobile phone number. So probably a lot of these are going to happen over the phone. So you take the call. Hello, I would like milk, eggs, and some bread. No problem. Take their number. Put in the details here. Put in the order number. That typically the order number is something that they would come up with, the convenience store or the takeaway, for their reference. Okay, so you remember that toggle that we made last time, which says total value or paid. We're going to do that off now because the total value has not been paid. And we're going to type in the value of the groceries, the milk and the eggs and the bread. I love milk. I've never loved milk and appreciated milk now more than ever. It's come to £40 because I have like 10 bottles of milk. And the total amount comes to £43.20. At this stage, that button, if you remember, before it said something different. Now it says send payment request because the payment's not been taken yet. So if you say send payment request, the consumer will receive a link. A payment link has been texted to the buyer via SMS. So we're going to show that later on, but for the sake of this demo, we're going to come into this section here, track orders, and the section that I ignored before, paying. So these are customers that the Co-op in Cheadle has taken orders for, and they've been texted the link, but they've not paid. So obviously I've not paid until he's not paid. These are 2 orders that have not paid. And the idea is that Tilly now is going to go in the background. She's going to pay on her SMS link, which we'll show you in a second. And once she pays, it will automatically move to the to-do section. So the Co-op manager in Cheadle said, right, they've paid. It's moved to the to-do section. Get the 10 bottles of milk, get the eggs, get the bread, put it in a bag. Once it's in a bag, you click on the order for 96 and you say order delivery now. Okay, and you can also, by the way, and it'll go to the scheduled section. And the rest of the demo, I'm sure you guys get the picture. It goes to schedule, the dispatch, and then it goes to delivering. Perfect, so that's basically how it would work if you're taking the payment. We're actually going to show you as well what happens on the customer side as well, how the link is received and how they can track. So I really want to be able to track my milk and eggs and bread. Oh, and by the way, this also works for pre-bookings. So let's say there are lots of NHS staff that want to order groceries, but they're working from 9 till 5. So they want the groceries delivered at 8 p.m. So if you noticed, when I clicked order delivery now, there was an option below it which said 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or other. So you could say to people, the Co-op and Cheadle, or the butchers, or the grocers, or whatever shop you've partnered up with, you could say, tell us when you would like it to be delivered, and that will automatically go into the Go system as a pre-booking for that particular time. So here's the customer experience. Pay for your order. They click on the link, for example, and that will open up a payment screen. Pay £43.20. Put in your card number. So we're going to put in a card number. It's not a real card, so no one takes screenshots. It's just a fake card. There's no money on it. Don't worry. But yeah, so we're just going to type in the card number, type in the expiry date, type in the security code, and that's going to basically take the payment from the consumer. Payment successful. Do you want to track your order? Track. And that will take you to a screen where the consumer can track the status of their order, as you would with Deliveroo or Just Eat, or with Domino's Pizza, for example. And it tells you each stage that is available at each stage of the order. Perfect. So we're going to go back to the PowerPoint, I believe. Perfect, and go to the next slide. So that's just an example. What I want to show you here is on the third screenshot, it says delivering 13 minutes away. So that is providing the consumer with a live ETA of their milk or of their I don't know, of their fried chicken. You know, so that's actually really cool. You actually don't get that with Just Eat, for example. We can get that obviously because we've got that within our system. Okay. So go to the next section. Payment. So you might be wondering, okay, brilliant, Hassan. You've described how it would work for a local, you know, grocery store. I'm taking care of the payment, but what's actually happening? Where's that payment going? What's going on? So you take that payment of £43.20. That money goes to you. You're the merchant. You're the taxi company that's taking the payments. The customer pays via payment link. Money arrives with the taxi company. At that stage, you would pay the driver, for example, out of that £3.20. That would just work as like a standard account job. So the driver would receive £3.20 in this example. The rest of the money is £40. In the example that I'm suggesting, you would charge the grocery store 10% of any order that they book with you. So the way that would work is you would receive £4 and they would receive £36. How do you get that £36 to the co-op in Cheadle? We've got a feature in our system called Driver.Pay, where basically pay and you could use that feature. So what you could do is you could say to the co-op in Cheadle, here's a PayPal account, download the PayPal app, and I will, every 2 or 3 days, I will push the money to that account, or every day or every week, whatever the payment terms are, I will push the money to that account. A few other points to mention on this slide before we're moving on. The credit card transaction fees, they are paid for by you because you're the merchant. So what we suggest is if you're going to be charging 10%, 15%, whatever you charge should obviously cover the credit card transaction fee and obviously be enough for you to make some money, a reasonable amount of profit from this. Also, this payment facility works only with Judo Pay currently. So if you have Judo Pay, that's fine. You don't need to open up a separate account. If you don't use Judo Pay, then you would need to set up a merchant account with them. Chargebacks. Chargebacks, obviously, they would be your responsibility because you're the ones that are taking payments. So you would need to have some kind of agreed policy between you and the retailers. What happens with chargebacks? And if you do get a chargeback, you go to them and say, "Hey, look, here's a chargeback. You need to pay it." You know, maybe you say the retail takes responsibility of that. So yeah, so those are kind of the points I wanted to mention. Okay, next slide, I think, in terms of the payment. So is Paul working now?
It's not, unfortunately, so we're going to
No,
this one
no,
again.
Paul.
Apologies,
okay, no problem.
everyone.
I'm sure we'll do a poll in the future webinars and they'll work quite well. So how to promote. So before I go on to the polls we wanted to ask you, and it'd be good for you to maybe get back to us in other ways, is we've described 2 specific ways of using Delivery.Point. Number 1, through someone that is on Just Eat, a takeaway, for example, or someone that's taking the payment, and someone like a grocery store that you're taking the payment on behalf of. It'd be really good for us to understand which one of these is going to be more useful to you. So obviously we could dedicate more resources to that particular area. Or is it both? Are they both really good ways to do this? So that's what we were keen to know. How to promote. So number 1, the retailer, they've got an existing customer database. Definitely they should be promoting this, you know, delivery to their customers. Also, if there are takeaways that are on Just Eat or Deliveroo or Uber Eats, these guys are charging, sorry, not Just Eat, Deliveroo and Uber Eats, these guys are charging like 25%, 30%, sometimes as much as 40% to handle the delivery. So there's a massive cost saving for someone that is on Just Eat and Deliveroo if he says to his customers, rather than doing that, use my website and I will deliver, and I only have to pay, you know, the taxi company 10 or 15%. So there is that massive advantage as well if you want to kind of approach people that are on Deliveroo and Just Eat on Uber Eats. Social media. So social media obviously goes without saying, one of the most powerful tools, especially these days. SMS marketing, you might want to put on your text back, for example, now delivering milk and eggs and essentials within 1 hour. What an amazing thing to be able to say to your customers on your text back. And finally, passenger apps. So something we're going to show next is how you can advertise this on your passenger app. So if we go to the next slide and demo that. So if we stop sharing until you can share the passenger app, we can show you how you could advertise this on your passenger app. So if you go to a passenger app, you'll notice now we've got a little basket in the bottom left-hand corner. So if we click on that basket, what that will do is it will say, you know, contact any of our partners below to place an order and we will take care of the delivery. Burgers, you know, grocery store, chicken, fried chicken, or just local convenience store. And you can see the different categories along the top there and filter, and just so the customers can see what kind of, you know, facilities that they can get that are delivered through their local taxi company. So it's a great way to be able to advertise this as well to your passengers that have already downloaded and using your app. Okay, brilliant. So if we jump back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so benefits. So number one benefit, biggest one, is additional work for drivers. So obviously, you know, we may be having reduced demand in this new normal. You know, even after we get past lockdown and all of those things, demand's still going to be probably slightly down. So, you know, this is a great way to be able to provide high period. Very adaptable, as I've shown you the two different modes, two different scenarios of use. Additional revenue streams, so it's also a great way to make money, you know, in terms of these taking percentages off these orders. A lot of, if people are doing grocery orders, then these will be going to be high amounts, you know, so if you take a percentage, you could amount to quite a lot of revenue. Build loyalty and long-term relationships with your locals. So this is a great way for you to reach out to your local community. And people are gonna remember that. People are gonna remember how you've behaved, you know, in these times. And it's a great way to be able to do that and build those links. Quick and easy, as we've shown you, just an Android app. So very, very simple. That's all they need, you know. You just need an Android phone, and that's it. That's all they need to be able to use it. And I hope you can see it's quite intuitive as well. And finally, it's free. So gone are the days of us charging, you know, £5,000 every time something comes out. You know, majority of our customers are now in our platinum bundle, and that basically this product becomes free within that. So there's no charge for, you know, there's no fee to AutoCab for this. Okay, that's it. Thank you for listening. We've finished 3 minutes over 45 minutes, so that's really good. If you have any questions, I've actually got a question I'd like to ask to kick things off. And I'd like to direct it to Safa. How can I get it? This looks amazing. How can I get it?
Yeah, so you know, it's really pretty easy to get. So first of all, it's not a branded app. It's actually a single app that's on the Android store. So we don't have to kind of launch your own or anything like that. And really the process, the way it would work is that you would reach out to, let's say, a store of some kind. And what you do is you go into the app backend to add them up, just like they're a user in the app backend. And it takes like, I don't know, it takes like 30 seconds to add them to the app backend. And then you get a login, username, and password. And all you got to do is put that on a phone, go to them, log in, and just give them the phone. And that's all that's involved with it.
Cool. And by the way, if you want to ask a question, there is an option saying raise hand if you see it. If you click raise hand, I'll be able to see who's raised their hand, and then we will like unmute you. We'll unmute you and then you can talk. So if you all want to if you have a question, then raise hand. If there are no questions, then that's really good, and we'll have got away with it. Oh, we have a raised hand from Eric O'Brien. Let's go to him in Ireland.
Won't make it that easy on you.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
Good, good.
Yeah, we was talking to a takeaway last night about this, and they said, yeah, great idea, the whole lot, but we don't want to cover the cost of the delivery. We want the customer to do that. So could the option 2 then be used in that case, whereby they put in 0 for the cost of the takeaway, but the delivery charge text is still sent to the customer to pay?
Safa, do you want to say that?
Yeah, I can take that. So yeah, so what you're saying is the customer actually pays them directly for the food, but then you just do the cost of delivery through credit card. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
So the product doesn't do that today. I think our thinking was, you know, it's kind of cumbersome for the passenger or for the shopper to pay twice. You know, they have to do some credit card thing with the merchant and another credit card with you know, for you. But is the feeling, is your feedback that, you know, shoppers would be not annoyed by that and wouldn't mind doing credit card twice, if you will, for the same thing?
Well, I think it was more the retailer was saying he was going to get caught with the costs and stuff like that of the.
Oh, he would
say the 2.5% or something like that. Yeah.
With the 2.5%, you mean for the
For the
credit card?
Yeah,
charges.
exactly.
How was he intending to get paid? The
well, he would be
retailer?
over the phone.
Yeah, I know, but he would give he would take credit card information over the phone for his piece
And the delivery, the whole lot. If he takes the whole lot.
Yeah. So he can do that. Yeah. So basically, he can do that, as in he can take the delivery, the full amount, I guess is what you're saying, is he would collect the delivery cost as well, and you would just invoice him for your part, right? And so that's what the product does. That's exactly. So that's the point. That's the thing where the toggle says, you know, already paid for, right? Because basically the shopper would pay the shop the £40 plus the £3.50 for delivery, and then you invoice the shop the £3.50 for the delivery part. So he wouldn't have to eat that cost. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Perfect.
Any other questions?
We've got a question from Karen.
Yeah, just when you're saying it's available on Android, so if there's a customer who's got an iPhone, they're not able to use the facility, or are you just talking about the driver it has to be on an Android?
No. Yeah, so this is basically for the shop. So basically the idea with this is, we think most people, just like taxi butlers, you would go and just take a phone. You may have a phone, and you just stick this app on there and you give them the phone. Because then what happens is that you kind of own that shop, you know, like when you go into that shop and you give them a phone, and yes, you've given them a phone, but really in reality, you know, that becomes real estate on their desk, you know, that becomes yours. And a lot of ways that really makes their commitment stronger to you in terms of using you for delivery, as opposed to saying, you know, use your own phone, but then, you know, I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the idea, most
I
people would
understand.
think, most people would just probably provide them a phone.
Because especially during the current climate with COVID, we found that we were trying to do collections from supermarkets, but customers were not able to get slots because it was that busy. So then we decided to try to go to little local like mini marts and things. So in that respect, this is probably ideal where you would place you know, a one-click solution.
Absolutely. And within half hour they can get their groceries, which is amazing, you know, these days, right? And you just put them there, and then again you have both the cases. If that shop can collect the payment for both the delivery and the item, great. You just invoice them for the delivery, the shop, right? If the shop doesn't have a way of collecting money themselves over the phone, no problem. They can do the other option, and the passenger and the shopper will get a link. They pay for both at the same time. They pay for both items, and then you deliver at that point, and you've got your money. And then you can pay out the shop. Now, just to be clear, this is we've also integrated with your accounting package. So this amount that you have to pay the shop becomes something, for those that are familiar with our system, into a cash account. And really, even from an accounting perspective, this is very seamless, where you go in into Ghost and you would see all of the cash accounts, and then you can pay out anyway through wire transfer, whatever you want to pay out, or you can use PayPal to pay out to the merchants.
Okay.
And your books will everything will reconcile as well.
Yeah, and just to clarify, it will work on the driver companion on iPhone or Android. It's just the Delivery.Point app that's Android only on the retailer side.
Okay, yeah.
Cool. We have another. Thank you. We have another question from City Fleet, Mr. Marson.
I hope everyone's safe and well. The question I have is that the majority of our drivers are self-employed. From an insurance point of view, hire and reward insurance is our main body. I know for a fact that owning a restaurant previously myself is that you need a separate insurance to carry hot food or parcels. Obviously that's going to be an extra costing to the driver as well as, and we must make sure that the drivers do have that or we're falling foul. Has that been taken into consideration?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely, and that's at the operational level, obviously with you guys. But yeah, I mean, look, I mean, I think the real big question, the big question that we have here today is delivery, you know, a good market for us as a taxi and private hire industry to embrace, you know, long term. And that again is what I love to hear your feedback, you know, over the next few weeks. But I think if it is, then to me, we set ourselves properly. You know, if there's the right insurance, we get the right insurance and embrace this market, because I think we have a role to play in it, you know, and certainly if you guys think we do. So yeah, so I think it becomes like anything else, you know, it has its own revenue. What we try to do with this is try to get in the easy way, you know, by providing something like this. It's very simple to use. It isn't a heavy investment. You don't have to go do a huge marketing campaign. Basically, all you have to do is you go to any shop that's willing to take it. You give them a phone with this app on it, and then so it's very little investment for us to kind of get started because you already have the drivers. But yes, you're right. You have to make sure you've got the right insurance and so on.
Yeah, I just asked that reason because of costings. That's all. Because obviously, more cost to the driver is going to push up the rate per delivery. And being in the courier industry for about 20 years with one of your new employees, Mr. Patton, I know quite a lot about how competition is quite rife.
Yeah, and then what you do have is that, remember, you can play with this a bit, because remember there's a cost to the driver, the cost for the delivery. That you can set, you know, maybe in London with black caps is different. You have to go to the meter or something, but that you can set to whatever you want. Like, it doesn't have to be your normal price. It could be, you know, £3 for so much for a mile delivery and £5 for 2 mile delivery, whatever, you know, something like that. But then you also have the opportunity to charge the merchant a percentage to cover your credit card fees, but also other things. And you could choose to give some of that to the driver. So for example, so this way, really, to the shopper, it looks like it's only £3 delivery. So that's really cheap, but you might be charging an additional 10 or 15% to the shop and taking some of that and then augmenting that to the driver, for example. So then it's a way to make sure that the shopper doesn't feel they're paying a lot for delivery, but really it's getting paid for. And a lot of these merchants, like Hassan said, they're paying 30, 40% for other ways, you know, when they're getting orders from Deliveroo and other places. So, you know, they're paying a lot already through other ways of receiving orders. And this may, you know, 10% may 10 or 15% may look cheap to them.
Yep, thanks very much. Thank you.
And just to add to that as well, that this is something that you might not want to roll out to your whole fleet immediately. You might want to experiment with. So you might want to have 20 drivers on a certain capability, and only those drivers do it to start off with, and see how it goes. It's definitely something which we believe is at least worth trying out, because if it does become, you know, successful and boom, as we saw from the numbers, then we want to ride the wave of that, you know. I've just spoken to the marketing team, by the way, and what we'll be doing is we'll be sending you the polls as on a link, as like an online poll where we've got 4 or 5 questions. So it would be great. We'll send that out to you. We'll email that out to you, and it'd be great if you can all fill that in. That would be really useful to get your feedback in terms of the 4 or 5 questions that we had for you and the demo. And there'll be a comment box as well. So if you've got any comments or feedback once you've thought about how this would work, then that would be really useful for us as well.
And I want to be clear, you know, this was the process in coming up with this. It was just an initial idea. We talked to a few customers, got some, you know, initial feedback, and we said, look, there is this COVID-19 happening. We can't take a month or two to decide perfectly what this product needs to be. We need to get going, start developing something. So we developed this based on, I'd say, limited customer feedback, just because we wanted to get going. So we were not saying this product is complete. I mean, it works very well. But really, this is the time where really would love to hear your feedback, as in, you know, what are the issues operationally with it, you know, and what tweaks, and we're ready to evolve it, to enhance it, to tweak it, to perfect it out there with you. So please, you know, as you trial this out, you know, we have a team waiting and ready for your feedback to evolve this product.
And if someone's listening, Safa, and they know someone who owns a takeaway or a local convenience store, and they speak to them after this call and they say, yeah, this sounds amazing, I want to try it. Are we in a position to be able to take them on and onboard them?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Honestly, it doesn't, all you need is a ghost update, because there's, you know, need to support this feature, and the app is already on the App Store, and we can go, you know. And so, and also it would be fantastic, honestly, if you can pick people, shop owners or whoever, that we can speak to as well, you know, like maybe you have a good relationship with them, because then it would really help us to get feedback directly from them on what they like and does it work for them and stuff like that. So, you know, sometimes it's sensitive, you know, you have an important customer and you don't want us to talk to them directly, we would understand. But, you know, if there is a shop or a store that actually, like, you have a, you know, good relationship with, we'd love to be in contact directly with them, just to kind of get their direct feedback on how we can tweak it to maybe save them a second or two while they're booking, for example. Those are the kinds of refinements we'd like to make.
Perfect. I think we have another question. Jan, is it Jan?
Just a quick question about your software. So have you got something built in which would allow one driver to carry out multiple drops? So, for instance, they collect one lots of deliveries, but then drop it off to number of customers, and some sort of route optimization.
Yes, very good question, very good question. And yes, we think that's really important in terms of bringing the cost of delivery down. So this is phase one of this product. We wanted to get something out. We didn't want to be kind of dreaming products and working on them for 4 months without real world feedback. So we said we're going to do this with a single delivery, single order, single delivery kind of approach. But yes, we do have ideas, and we'd like to, you know, and if anybody's interested to work with us on this, we can. But you know, we're thinking the way we would do it is that we let the shop owner themselves combine orders if they want to, you know, some way like that, by dragging and dropping orders together, because then they can do the same pickup time for them. And then we could tell them if the route, we would optimize the route at that point, maybe something like that. So we are thinking of that as a phase 2 for this product.
Perfect. Great. Well, we've just gone over an hour. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for joining our first webinar. We will be sending out the poll hopefully later today, if not tomorrow. So it'd be really useful for us if you filled that in so we can capture your feedback. But other than that, thank you very much for listening, and hopefully we'll see you soon. If not in person, then hopefully via video, and stay safe. And it was great to hear all your voices and see some of your faces.